स्वागत है जी एक बार फिर आप सब ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਹੈਲਥ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਾਥ ਦੇਣਗੇ ਐਂਟੋਨੀਨਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ CNP ਹਨ ਸਰਟੀਫਾਈਡ ਨਿਊਟ੍ਰੀਸ਼ਨਲ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟੀਸ਼ਨਰ। ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਾ ਰਹੇਗਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੂਸ ਕੱਢਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਬਜ਼ੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਫਲਾਂ ਦਾ, ਪਰ ਨਾਲ ਸਮੂਦੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਬੜਾ ਪ੍ਰੀਡੋਮੀਨੇਟ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਜੂਸਿੰਗ ਤੇ ਸਮੂਦੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਫਰਕ ਹੈ, ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਇਨਗਰੀਡੀਐਂਟਸ ਦੇ ਹੋਣੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਨੇ, ਆਓ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਐਂਟੋਨੀਨਾ ਤੋਂ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ। There's a lot of talk about smoothies and juicing. You know, we find blenders, we find juicers of all kinds which are in the market. Some say, you know, the extract is absolutely absorbed. Some say, you know, a lot of extract goes waste when you juice. So tell us the difference between both of these, which is beneficial, which should be taken more, and what all can be added into all these things.
Fantastic question, because many people ask that question, and especially now that more and more people understand the benefits of both. There's lots of debate going on, which one's better, which one's worse, which one. Both have benefits and both are important. So for those who don't know, smoothies are made in the blender, so the whole fruit or vegetable or combination of is pulverized, and then the juices are made with an extraction. They're made with different juicers, and there are different types of juicers, so you always recommend to research the highest quality, the one that maybe not centrifugal, the one that presses and squeezes the juice out as opposed to causing a lot of oxidative damage. So the two differences is that one has the pulp and has the fiber and another one does not. So let's talk about the benefits of the smoothies. The smoothies is probably the closest form of the whole food, because you're putting the whole apple, or you're putting the whole elements, you know, a beet or some greens, and then maybe some juice of something else, or some people will make smoothies with, you know, nut milks and things like that, or just water, or apple juice or whatever. And so the smoothies usually requires a whole food, and then it's blended, but after the blending you have this a very satiating, a very almost like, you know, it can be as rich as you want, or it can be as liquid as you want. And then it really depends on what you use. So if you use a lot of you know, vegetables or a lot of greens that have a lot of fiber, or they're very hard, you'll find your smoothie to be very kind of grainy. And so it would really depends on what you're using. But the point is that a whole fiber is there. So usually the smoothie, the good thing about it is that the fiber will help the body clean. It also, the fiber is what lets make sure that blend is passing through digestion much slower, so absorption is really good, and it's kind of satiating you for a longer time. So they're usually more filling. So we can have, for example, if I decide to make a chocolate smoothie, I could probably start with hemp seeds and water, making it a hemp milk, adding some raw cacao, so chocolate in there, and it has lots of antioxidants and benefits in that if it's raw organic. And then I could put some goji berries, I can put a lot of blueberries and other berries that are very nutrient dense. I can put a little bit of coconut oil, just to give it, again, to give it a good fats, and get to make sure that it also lasts longer, and it's kind of better for my body, and it satiates me for longer. So you can put a lot of different powders. Some people will put different green powders, some people will put other different superfoods like date to make it sweeter, for example. So there are multiple superfoods that can be added. But if I was making my chocolate smoothie, of course I need something probably like a sweetener. I'll probably want something as a protein base, so I choose, for example, sometimes I use hemp as a protein, I use chickpea as a protein, people use rice protein blends, some people use dairy proteins. So the whey, for example, some people use whey, which is a dairy based, those are not my favorite, but there's lots of vegan, vegetarian, or whey options.
Or you can just put some vegetables and fruits, and just put some water and some superfoods, and your smoothie can be ready.
Absolutely. So you can make a green smoothie with just greens and fruit. And then, but if you're making something like, let's say, a shake for a post-workout or something, and you want to put some protein in, then people have choices of what they do. So they use different nuts, seeds, and some other things.
So basically in a smoothie, anything can be put, and you know, it just gets processed and you can drink it. Otherwise you can't consume all the vegetables or the fruits or the superfoods together. But in a smoothie, everything can be mixed.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you got the right ratios, and you make sure that it tastes good, because some people definitely experiment and they make some crazy things.
Of course, and then that has to be thrown, because there's so much of fiber in it, or it's a little, you know, not sweet, so it becomes difficult.
Or it's too, you're right. So there's lots of, but there are thousands of recipes. So there's so many incredible free books, e-books, and free options and free websites that have hundreds and hundreds of different recipes, and you can just try and, you know, try 20, come up with your favorite 3, and just use them.
enjoying that.
Yeah, I keep it enjoying.
Right. As far as juicing is concerned, earlier it used to be mostly juices only. You used to extract the juice and drink. Now, when we talk about juicing as such, so in that we just know that it is only through fruits or vegetables that you can get the juices. Is there anything else also which can be put in juice?
Absolutely, different grasses. So different herbs that I used for juicing. So for example, if I had somebody that I needed to detox from heavy metals, there are specific, for example, cilantro will be juiced and other things that would be juiced to help with that elimination of those heavy metals slowly and gently from the body. So there are different ingredients that can be used. But let's say we're juicing, greens and vegetables and fruit. Anything from simple juicers. So again, if people drink even orange juice, it is so simple to buy $13 little orange juicer and make yourself fresh juice that hasn't been manipulated, that hasn't been squeezed from oranges and then pasteurized, so all the nutrition has been killed, and then a lot of flavoring agents are added because in pasteurization or heating, a lot of those essential oils are destroyed, and so the companies, the package will have this fresh orange.
No sugar added or absolutely
They would
pure.
say those things, but honestly, a lot of times they're not compliant, or the marketing is so tricky that people don't really understand what. But if your juice lasts for more than 3 days on the shelf, that's processed juice. So I always recommend squeeze your own grapefruit, squeeze your own orange juice. But then let's go to more sophisticated juicing machines, when you spend a couple of $100s to juice your fruits and vegetables. Those are, again, a lot of times the more vegetables you juice, the better. You can add some fruit there for sweetness. For example, people make green juices, and if you just use greens, they're going to be too hard to drink. Some, people that absolutely love health and been doing it for a long time, there's no problem for me to drink just greens. But for people that still want the taste and starting, they'll put an apple in there. They'll juice an apple or pineapple or other things that'll be really good for juicing. So you don't really juice anything like, in a smoothie you can use banana and dates. In a juicers you can't use anything like that. That's low water content. So you have to use something that has a high hydration content. And so then you juice different greens and vegetables. And those are my favorite. And then of course things like carrot juices and beet juices, they're very sweet naturally, so you can just use those, put a little bit of ginger in there and turmeric,
and
they make
you can mix all of these things also and drink. So advantages of smoothies as well as juices is same virtually, but in smoothies you have a more option of putting in more of things, and juices only you can put those vegetables or fruits which are having more water content.
Well, actually with juices you get a much higher concentration, because in the smoothie you can only use so many vegetables and fruits, otherwise it's going to be too rich. With juices, for one juice you might use three kale bunches, you might use a cilantro bunch, you might use 5 apples and 3 carrots, but the thing is, it actually takes enormous amount of produce to juice the blood out of that produce into one glass. So you use a lot more vegetables and fruits and greens to get 1 glass of juice, but this is like nutritionally concentrated. So smoothie is not as concentrated. It's a good fill me up meal, but juices, if you're doing juice fast, if you're doing juice cleanses, if the person is depleted and deficient in specific nutrients, that's the best way. It's kind of like taking a supplement. It has a very, very rich nutritional content, but it doesn't have fiber, so you might want to play with both. Eat your salads and make sure
sometimes have juices, sometimes have this.
And always chew your juices and smoothies. What I mean is carbohydrates are digested here, so make sure that you hold them in your mouth and let all of your digestive juices to be a part of that.
Not just gulp it down.
No, just gulp it.
Thank you very much.
My
Thanks for
pleasure.
this information, Antonina.
Thank you.